Good evening and welcome to the Pro-Am Formula Racing, otherwise known as PFR. Round 9 of the division sprint takes us to the Autódromo Internazionale di Monza, close to the city of Milan. This is the Italian Grand Prix, where we are expecting an 18-minute qualifying session and then a 25% race distance event, which should be around 17 laps, I would think. Although I can double check that. I think with it being Monza, it should be around 13 laps or 14. I think it may well be 13 or 14 laps. It'll be a quick race anyway, providing there's no safety cars. We are expecting Jordi to be in the commentary box with E in the moment. In the meantime, qualifying will be about to begin. And here we are. We're waiting for some cars to make their way out onto the racetrack. And the good news is that the championship leader, Vengeance, is back after missing the last couple of rounds, after injuring his thumb or hand a few weeks back. But it's good to see him back racing. Either way, there's one of the Aston Martins heading out on track. That'll be Rishi. So Rishi on his way out on track. Now he's gone through the chicane, he knows he's going in too quickly. Avoids the barrier. And 3 reserve drivers have been called in. They are Labyrinth in the Mercedes, Isaac in the Ferrari, and Not Vanilla in the Williams. So Rishi coming round to start his first flying lap of the session. So we look to see Rishi making his way through the Rettifidio chicane and now heading towards the Curva Grande. So I've been saying that Vengeance's championship lead is currently 38 points over Fletch, with Kilmer on another 7 points behind, and it's AAM 4th on 52. Looks most realistically like a three-way fight for the title. We are at round 9 of a 16-race championship. As Rishi comes towards the Ascaru chicane, named after the two-time world champion, of course. Italy's most successful Formula 1 world champion. So Rishi over the line to post the first time of the day, 1 minute 21.3 for him. who's suggested in the McLaren as he approaches the Curva Alboreto, which is recently named this year. Previously known as the Parabolica. It's still technically known as the Parabolica because Parabolica is Italian for hairpin. Suggested goes P2 temporarily before Kermit goes to provisional pole of 1:21.0. Now here's Vengeance, the championship leader. Coming over the line, this should be the fastest time of the session. It's a 1:20.1 for the Williams driver. Isaac in the Ferrari, posting a well, I thought it should be a lap time, but in fact he's exceeded track limits. And Kenga, 1:21.2 is good enough to put him in 4th place. Here's DTS heading through Ascari. And Rishi goes up to 2nd with a 1:20.8. That's a lap time from him. Swan looking to better his 1:21.9. Coming out of the Curva Alboreto. He's nearly 7 seconds faster before goes 5th. Labyrinth goes 10th on a 1:24.5. Isaac's sewn down at the moment, just waiting to go for another. I think some drivers may just be heading for the pit lane. Here's Kenga, who's backed off on his lap. He's without a front wing, so may as well come away from him. AA has just started a flying lap in the Red Bull. So AA is coming towards the Ascari chicane. So 53.8. And now the Rebel driver is coming towards the line, takes the shorter route. 1:21.8, which places him in P7. Then Kilmore has retired from the session. He may have crashed out actually on the exit of the Lesmo. Let's have a look. Yeah, he's crashed out there. So, the driver who is 3rd in the championship will not be setting another lap time in qualifying. He's not even set a lap time at all actually. There's Smith off track as well in the Mercedes. He wants to get out of that rather quickly. So Fletch goes up to third place. And Chromad losing it on the into the entry of Ascari. And finally, Joydy has decided to join me in the commentary box. How are you today, sir? Yeah, you're not too bad, thank you. It's been a rather interesting session so far. Vengeance on his return to the grid after missing the last couple of rounds due to an injury he had on his thumb or something. Obviously, Kilmore, third in the championship. The two Lesmos. Okay. So, seen Swan, who's going better than before through sector 1 as well. So, I've got him in my picture right now, in the Haas, that is. Half a second up from before. So, I think we're going to see a lot quicker of a lap time here from him. He's been excellent throughout the session so far. Now, Vengeance is 2 tenths clear of Rishi, who's in P2. And then we've got Fletch in third place on the 121.0. He's got a lot of catching up to do from there. Nearly 9 tenths off the pace. So Swan goes over the line for Haas. It'll be a 1 minute 20.7. Good enough to put him in P3. So who else is on the fine lap? Well, John's just gone through the chicane. Luke has just come back into the pits. And Smith is on a flying lap on mediums, I believe, in the Mercedes. Yes, he is. So we've got him in our picture now as he makes his way through Lesmo 2. So his lap time was an unrepresentative one earlier on with Smith, so I'm not sure what to expect from him here. He wants to try and get inside the top 10 if he can. So Smith coming back into the pit lane. So we've got 5 minutes remaining here. There is plenty of time for more laps to be put in as Vengeance remains 2 tenths clear of Rashid, and it's Swan in third place by Fletch, and Kermit, who won't be going back out on track. Adds in 6th place at the moment, setting his fastest lap time on the mediums, which is a good effort from him. And then it's Kim going 7th by John, and not familiar with King rounding out your top 10. AA in the Red Bull, who's just going for another flying lap, is in 11th position. DRS open as AA heads towards Sector 2. Is this going to be a fast lap time from before? He's 3 tenths up from before. So he's potentially looking to break into that top 10, but only by 1 position. There is an Alfa Romeo ahead of him, so he may just get a bit of a tow, actually, as he heads over the line. Through the curve at Alboreto, AA goes. And he goes over the line. It's a 1:21.0. It's a lot better than before. He found a in Sector 3. And he's gone up to 4th. That was a great effort, that, from AA. So lost faith in the AlphaTauri as he heads towards the Ascari chicane. Had to slow down as well, did Lost Faith, so he's lost a bit of time. There's a bit of a tow from the Mercedes as he goes past. And now they head towards Curva Alboreto. And he only goes 14th, so there's definitely some time to be found for him. He's not got enough time actually to duck into the pits for soft compound tyres, so he'll have to try and do another lap at some point. Here's Chromad, one of only 2 drivers yet to post any time of any sort. Now Chromad is on a flying lap in the Aston Martin. As he goes through, and this is going to be a 1 minute 22.4, and it's good enough for 14th position. Smith on a better lap in the Mercedes. We expect him to be around the top 5 range. So far this season, Smith is in 5th place on 46 points. Finished on the podium last time out in Zandvoort. Over the line comes the Mercedes driver, and it's a 1:21.3. That is good enough to put him in P10. Now here's King in the Alpine as he goes towards sector 2. How much time is he going to find by here? He's less than a tenth. He's less than a tenth up from before. He's gone way too far wide. Into the barrier goes, and that's his session over. So King pushed too hard into the middle of the Ascari chicane. He should have just backed out of it, to be honest with you. But he didn't do that, and he's gone straight into the scene with an accident there, and that is his qualifying session over prematurely. Now here's Swan in the Mercedes, aiming to find as much time as possible in the last sector here. And Swan does improve his time but stays in 3rd. Fletch through sector 2, only around about half a tenth up from before. Could go in front of Kangol if he's lucky. So Fletch, round in the last turn, the checker flag is out now. So Fletch aims to improve on his time, and he's 2 tenths up from before, and he goes up to 4th place. John up to 8th in the Alfa Romeo. Suggested in the McLaren, heading towards the line as well. It was a 1:22.0 before. It's a 1:21.9. Not good enough to move him up a position. He stays in 14th position. Funilla's not improving, so he'll be docketed into the pits, and Rochford is not improving either. So Vengeance, on his return to the grid, is on pole position for Williams, with Rishi alongside in P2. And then Swan and Fletch next up, with Kengor and AA on the 3rd row. So we're also waiting for Jordy to sort out his mic issues. You can see Vengeance will be very happy with his pole position, and Rishi returning to form. So here's your grid then for the race. Vengeance is on pole ahead of Rishi, alongside it Swan and Fletch on row 2, followed by Kengor and AA. Kermit and John are on the 4th row, followed by Adds Up and King. Smith and Vanilla make up the 6th row, and it's Rochford and Suggested on row 7. Cromad and Lost Faith on row 8, followed by Isaac and Vintage on the 9th row, and we've got Labyrinth and Kilmore making up the grid. Kilmore will be fighting his way through the field, no question, to get himself up into the points. We've got the sprint race coming up. Well, I say the sprint race. It's a 25% race distance Grand Prix, as it's the Division Sprint Championship, not Divisions 1, 2 or 3, in case you are wondering which specific championship it is in the PAFR. That was qualifying. We'll be back for the race in a moment. So we're already on the way for the formation lap then. Vengeance will be starting the race on the soft tyres, because that's what he qualified on within the top 10. The only drivers started on the mediums. They are Adds Up, Not Vanilla, Lost Faith, Isaac, Vintage and Labyrinth. All the others are on softs. So we've been a 13 lap race. I would expect those on the softs to come in around lap 5 or 6, and then the others to be in for around lap 7 or 8. So in terms of strategy, in terms of grip at the start, I'm not expecting too much, but we'll wait and see. There are 20 drivers going for glory here today. Now, in terms of the calendar for this particular championship, we go to Sochi after Monza, and then we've got a week off, and then we return for Singapore, and then Japan and Mexico. Then we have another week off, and then round 14 will be in Brazil on the 25th of November. Round 15 has yet to be confirmed in terms of which circuit we're going at, and the final round will be in Abu Dhabi on the 9th of December. So Vengeance lines up on pole position with Rishi slotted into P2, and we've got Swan and Fletch, and then Kengor and AA, and we've got Kermit and John next up, and Adds and King rounding out the top 10. Do keep an eye out on the likes of Smith and Kilmore fighting their way through the field at the start. So we're just waiting for the last few cars to make their way onto the grid now, and then we should get this 13 lap race underway here at Monza. Here we go then. Vengeance on pole. Rishi alongside. He will make it into the rest of the video first. The fire red lights. Come on, appear in front of the drivers. It's lights out and away we go. Vengeance got a good launch off the line. Rishi likewise. Rishi may have the inside line into turn 1, but he ducks underneath the Williams. And he's going to go to the outside into turn 1. And Rishi gets a tap from behind. Absolute mayhem. And Kengo is out of the race. He got a tap from behind as well. And Rishi's been penalised for corner cutting. And we've got a virtual safety car already. So I don't know who tapped the back of the Haas there. All sorts of mayhem down to turn 1. And Rishi will be absolutely livid that he's been given that penalty. He may dispute that afterwards. And I think Vintage has been penalised as well in the AlphaTauri. So Rishi into the race lead. Vengeance in second place, and then we've got Fletch and AA. Swan is in fifth, ahead of Kermit, John, Adds Up, Smith, and Not Vanilla. And to be honest, the drivers would have been warned about going into turn 1 there. The race is not won on the first lap, but it can be lost. And unfortunately, some drivers just didn't brake in time. There's Chromad without a front wing to his car. Who else has suffered damage on that opening lap? Well, there's no question that Isaac's got front wing damage, and I think Lost Faith may have picked up damage as well in the AlphaTauri. It may not have done. But Rochford's been given a drive-through penalty for exceeding the virtual safety car, and that's Swan going off track. And that's because he's without a front wing or he's got damage to his car. We're watching the battle at the front because Vengeance has got back the lead from Rishi, who's having to fend off on the Red Bulls here. Fletch gets up to second place, going into the curve at Alboreto. So Vengeance is back where he rightfully belongs in the race lead. And then we've got a battle for second place here between the two Red Bulls and Rishi. Rishi fighting back. Will they all break into the Rettifidio in time here? They do so. And Adds Up is out of the race. Is crashed out on pit entry. That may bring out the safety car, to be honest with you. We'll just wait for confirmation by race control. But there are plenty of drivers in the pit lane now. Kermit's one of them. Swan, Kilmore, Chromad, and Isaac also in. I think we've been only 13 laps. They'll probably just go to the end of the race on those medium tyres. Apart from Isaac, who started the race on the mediums, will go on to the hards. Now, Rishi's going to suffer through all this. I think with it being a corner cutting penalty, he won't be able to take that at his pit stop. So 2 drivers out of the race already. All sorts of mayhem into the Rettifidio. So Vengeance with a new fastest lap. So in terms of who's gained what from their race positions, we'll just see a yellow flag in sector 1. It looks like Kane's gone round through the polystyrene boards at turns 1 and 2. So going back to what I was saying, Vintage has gained 10 positions at the start. Lost Faces has gained 6. Suggested Smith and Not Vanilla have gained 5 positions each. So Fletch approaching Rishi in the battle for second place on the road. Rishi's just got to do what he can at the moment. So Rishi coming over the line at the end of lap 1. And Rochford has been penalised for speeding in the pit lane, so it just goes from bad to worse for him. He is taking his drive-through penalty now. His chances of points are gone at the moment. And someone's gone off at turn 1. Is that King again, who's gone round? I think it is. It's continued anyway. And Suggested has gone off the track at the De La Rocha chicane. Labyrinth something behind King at the moment. Vengeance's lead is 1.5 seconds. With Fletch not too far back from the Aston Martin. So Rishi ducks into the pits now. Gets the car slowed down in time. So he's in at the end of lap 4. And hard side's going on, which is a surprise. As we watch Vintage go past Lost Faith. And that's 7th place going to the AlphaTauri number 2. Rishi rejoins in 9th position as Chromad has gone for another spin in the Aston Martin. King also in for Alpine. And looks like someone's gone off though. That's a Red Bull, isn't it? That's Fletch. And Fletcher, he's wrecked his car as he tried to rejoin, and that's his race over. It's a silly accident to have. He should have just reversed out of it there, and that's deployed the virtual safety car. So Fletch is out of the race, the 3rd driver to leave this Grand Prix. The virtual safety car has been deployed. I think this is going to prompt Vengeance to come into the pits at the end of this lap. He needs to be careful to not exceed the virtual safety car delta, as he is now. AA also in with John behind, and we've got Not Vanilla, Smith as well. Lost Faith decides to come in. This may play into Rishi's hands actually, or will Vengeance get out ahead of him? I think Vengeance is going to get out ahead of him. Yeah, and I think AA will he rejoin in P2? The DRS, so the VSC has ended, and AA is surely going to rejoin in P2 here as Rishi closes up behind the Red Bull. And AA remains in 2nd position. But remember, Rishi's got that 10-second penalty, so he won't keep that podium position as it stands. And now Rishi's gone off track at the De La Rocha chicane. So his race just goes from bad to worse. And John has got in front of AA as well. So John on fire at the moment in this race. He started in 8th. He's found his way up into 2nd position now as AA uses the DRS to close back in. And Not Vanilla's right in the mix as well. He started the race on the mediums, so he's now on soft. So he's going to have the tyre advantage at this stage. He needs to be careful not to take too much life out of them though at this point. And someone's gone off in sector 2. It's Chromad again. He continues. And Chromad, he must have lost his front wing somewhere, but we want to go to the battle for 3rd place as AA is about to lose another position. This time to the Williams of Not Vanilla, so Vanilla gets in front. And he's got the 2nd place man, John, In front of him there. As Promad, is he without a front wing to his car? I think he is. Well, he's got damage anyway, so that'll be him off into the pits. And Sector 1 sees Isaac go for a spin. Rejoins. Vengeance sets a new fastest lap. Oh, and not for the spins. He caught the curb, and that's him going to the barriers. It just misses it. He's done very well to stay out of everyone's way. That could have been a race-ending accident there for Not Vanilla. Should stay in front of Labyrinth. And that's John to get back into P2, or remain in P2. AA's gone back to third now. And Smith is in fourth. So there's King, behind suggested. Does he go for it into turn 1? The answer is no. No, Chromad has exited the pits. A lap down now on the leaders. Just make sure he stays out of everyone's way when they are coming up to lap him. So Vengeance coming towards the end of lap 8. He's got 5 laps to go at the end of this one. And Not Vanilla's retired. So after that spin, he's exited. Oh, that's a very nasty shunt there. That could bring out the safety car. It has done. So we've got a safety car on, well, at the beginning of lap 9 now. Will this prompt any drivers going into the pit lane? Well, Smith is coming in for a set of the soft compound. The safety car has not picked up the leader yet. So I don't think Smith is going to gain that much an advantage, if I'm honest with you, by pitting now. Space also coming in for a change of tyres. And the drivers need to be careful to make sure that they do stick to the delta that's been set for them on their dash. Now, what will Vengeance decide to do? I think with him in the lead, he will want to remain out there to keep track position. Now, Labyrinth is the only driver to have not stopped in this race yet, so he's going to be relieved that the safety car's come out, and now he can go into a set slots. Well, Vengeance stays out, which is no surprise. John also remains out there, but AA comes in. Does he? Ooh, no. No, he doesn't. And Rishi also decides to stay out there. I'm actually surprised he's done that, because he's on the hard compound. Well, Labyrinth is coming in at the end of this lap, providing he gets the car slowed down in time, which he does so. Says Kilmore. Does he get in front of Labyrinth before the line here? Yes, he does so. So Kilmore up to 11th position. So Vincent, who's in 6th place on the softs, he may have an advantage on the restart with the tyres that he's on. So 4 drivers out of the race. Not Vanilla, Fletch, Adds Up and Kenga. 16 still running. Vengeance will want to stay behind the safety car here. If he overtakes him, he can end up being disqualified. So the safety car, we're going in at the end of this lap, whatever happens, because we've got 2 laps to go, and in this game, the safety car doesn't remain out there in the last 2 laps of a race. And Chroma's just been given a drive-through penalty for ignoring the yellow flags, which is interesting. He's made an absolute embarrassment of himself now. So Rishi's made contact with AA as well, so both of them have been penalised for that, and Chromad has been disqualified for the session for facing the wrong way, so I think it serves him right for that kind of embarrassment under the safety car. So he goes no further. So Vengeance heading towards the second section. What's that? As it stands with the positions as they are, Vengeance will open up a 63-point lead over Fletch, who's not going to be scoring, and Kilmore, who's currently 11th, or 10th I should say, which would make it a 62-point gap. He's not on course to score points either. So we're back on the way here at Monza, with Vengeance out in front. So it's a 2-lap shootout. Now we're watching the AlphaTauri Vintage make a move on Kermit. Can he make a move on AA and Rishi as well? Not into the Rettifilio. I think he got a tap from behind. Vintage makes contact with Rishi as they go into turn 1. Kermit's gone round there in the Ferrari. So Kermit out of the points. And now Vengeance looking to pull clear. John in second place. And then with Luke, we've seen Los Faith go ahead of the McLaren of suggested into the Lesmo. Vintage now ahead of Rishi on the exit of Lesmo 2. So Vintage having a good restart so far. He's on course for a podium as it stands with AA's time penalty. Suggested has gone down the order as his front wing's gone there on the McLaren. And Labyrinth is off the track as well for Mercedes. His front wing's gone missing. So we started the last lap now. Vengeance on course for win number 5 of the season. And sector 3 sees Kermit crashing out of the race. And Labyrinth and Suggested coming into the pits together. So there's Lost Faith and Smith fighting over P7 at the moment. Smith just going through the polystyrene boards. It was getting the power down. So Vengeance taking command of the race, on course for victory here today. And this is going to be one to see him extend his lead at the top. Kilmore, as it stands, is going to drop out of the points. He's just lost the position to Lost Faith as well. So here's Vengeance then coming round the Curva Alboreto. And it's going to take victory Here at Monza, Vengeance wins the Italian Grand Prix in the PFR in the division sprint and gets the point for the fast start. John comes on in second. AA is going to drop back though, so Vintage will go to the podium. Rishi will not keep his 5th place. He will drop down a lot. So Lost Faith goes up to 5th, Smith 6th, King 7th, Rochford 8th, Isaac 9th, and Swan in 10th place. Then we've got Kilmore down to 11th, so out of the points for him, and the same for Rishi. Labyrinth, as it stands, will drop behind Suggested once the penalties have been applied. So just wait for these two to make their way over the line, and that will be that. So Vengeance wins once again at Monza, and what a return it has been for him. So Vengeance picking up yet another victory. The pole position and fast start points sees him extend his lead to 65 points at the top of the championship. So here's your final race result. Vengeance wins and gets the point for the fast start and the point for pole position. John in second place with Vintage 3rd, AA 4th, Lost Faith 5th ahead of Smith and King, Rochford was 8th ahead of Isaac and Swan. Rounding out your top 10. It's Kilmore 11th outside the points. Rishi was 12th, Suggested, and Labyrinth the last of the finishes. Kermit retired with a couple of laps remaining, but he was still classified. Not Vanilla retired, as did Fletch, adds up Kenga and Chromad. So, we've mentioned the championship standings. It's a very convincing lead that Vengeance has now. We're going to go in for some interviews and interview those on what's been a brilliant, another interesting Grand Prix. So just bear with us one moment. Okay. Okay. Right, after another race that was at Monza in the sprint championship, in the vision sprints of the PAFR, we'll speak to some drivers on what's been a brilliant race. Vengeance, on your return after missing the last couple of rounds, it looked rather commanding from you today, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, you didn't have too much to do, did you? But it was quite an interesting first lap because it was like a concertina effect, wasn't it? Which saw Ken got out of the race and then Rishi went straight over the first chicane because he got attacked from behind by someone. I don't suppose you saw it from your eyes in your rear view mirror? Mm. Another Grand Slam indeed. So pole position, fastest up, and the race win. 27 points for you, which gives you 65 points. Okay. Yeah. What I was going to say was you've got a 65-point lead now over Fletcher, who's in second place, because Kilmore didn't score either. So you've got a very, very convincing lead going into the next round in Sochi next week. I suppose it's just same target next week then, isn't it? To win as always. Well, thank you very much, Vengeance, for your thoughts there. We'll go to AA next, who came in fourth in the end once the penalties had been applied. But he did get a contact actually from Rishi under the safety car, so I suppose the penalty is going to be disputed. Okay. No worries. I mean, you are obviously behind Vengeance into turn one, so any thoughts on the first lap incident there? Because it looks rather too, what's the word I'm after? Too desperate to try and make an overtake into turn one from some of the drivers out there that saw Ken Gore retire in the Haas. Yeah, I mean, there could have been more eliminated on the spot there, but thankfully only one was eliminated at the end of that. Well, either way, the points keeps you in fourth place in the Championship AA, so best of luck at Sochi next week. We'll go to John next, who finished in a fine second place. I think I think you would have taken your hat off for that one, wouldn't you? Because those 18 points has moved you from 22 to 40, which moves you in front of Vintage, Adds Up, and Chromad. So you are up to seventh now in the championship standings, which is very, very good. Sochi, obviously, it's just recently hosted its Formula One race, its penultimate Formula One race. How do you think it'll go for you there in comparison to Monza? With obviously a lot of the high-speed corners at that track in comparison to Monza. Thank you for your time there, John, and very well done on your second place finish, and best of luck in Sochi next week. We'll go to Luke next, who came home in a fairly satisfying 8th position, and I think considering that you were starting in the midfield, do you have any say on what happened in that first corner incident? Well, points are points, Luke, and obviously that moves you up the standings a little bit as well, moving ahead of Raz and suggested into 16th position. It may well be 15th, depending on the countback. By the way, it's definitely a decent drive. How have you found the game overall since its release? Obviously, with the handling and stuff like that, and of course, recently we had a performance patch update. No worries. Well, thank you very much, Luke, for your time. Very well done on your points finish, and best of luck to Sochi in 7 days' time. We'll go to Suggested next, who did get to the end of the race, albeit outside the points. Still yet to score a point so far this season. Another race gone begging there for you. It's just a matter of time before you do end up scoring a point at some stage. No. I mean, it was rather unlucky. I think once the safety car did come out, it was pretty much a lottery. I mean, some drivers had time penalties as well. So, had it not been for the spin that you had on the exit of Lesmo 2, then you would have been most certainly in the frame for a points finish there. Hard luck there suggested, but hopefully we'll see you in contention for points next time out in Sochi. We'll go to one last driver, that is Fletch, whose retirement has an impact in the fight for the championship. First non-finish of the season, is that? Mm-hmm. What does this mean now for the championship? Because it's a 65-point gap between yourself and Vengeance with 7 races to go. You've got to go in there with the challenge of just beating him here, and nothing more needs to be said than that. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much, Fletch, and thank you to everyone for your time speaking to us today. Well, that's all from us today. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in to that. The next round will be in Sochi in 7 days' time. Can Vengeance extend his lead at the top, or can Fletch or Kilmore claw their way back somehow? Find out in 7 days' time, 10:30 p.m. 10:30 a.m. British Summer Time on Thursday next week. I'm Tom Cairns, and I'll speak to you again soon when the PAFR returns.